Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Coach's Corner, basketball style for Western Reserve. Here with head ball coach, Mr. Steve Miller. Coach, we just talked about it. You're sitting there third in the rankings right now in the MVAC. When you think about, you said, hey, could be better, could be worse. I mean, you're kind of still within striking distance of all your goals. For you, the last time we talked, you were still trying to get kind of the legs underneath you and the girls. What's the progress been like in the last few weeks?
Well, it seems like we're going full circle. We're kind of reverting back to where we finished last year, being a little bit more half-court defensive. And I was trying to take us kind of a down a different path. And like I said, we're kind of full circle. We decided to play a little bit more of a slowdown, ugly defensive game, Saturday against Lowville, and kind of got back to our roots and our mentality back then. And I guess right now is first to 40, and we held Lowville to 30. So the girls are listening. They're always willing to do exactly what the coaches tell them to do. So we're going to kind of be a grinded out team again, and I think we learned a little bit about ourselves when we lost to Middle Ridge, last week. We got into playing their style of game, and it was a little bit more maybe up-tempo, and we started running and getting out of position and fouling. And we have 4 girls foul out in the game, losing overtime. And I'm like, we're not deep enough to do that, so we have to play a certain way. And we're gonna keep doing that the next few weeks and preparing for tournaments.
It's funny you say that because you hear parents and people that aren't necessarily in the coaching circles talk about, oh, we're playing their game, which it's kind of turned into like a passive-aggressive way of, they beat us, you know what I mean? But it is challenging for coaches when in talking with them. When your team slips into getting out of their rhythm and playing their game and playing somebody else, it's hard to get them back. Yep. If your team's up-tempo and their team is slow-tempo, something's got to give. So how do you kind of, in the midst of, either before halftime or after, how do you get your team back on the track of, hey, we need to stay focused. If we get back to what we're supposed to be doing and playing our ball, we win this game?
Well, I guess one phrase that I've always used is we all have to be on the same page, even if it's the wrong page. If we're all on the same page, we have a chance. So really, again, just this week getting back to practice, going back almost like November, dummy offense. Our warm-ups and getting warm and getting loose are very basic, very dummy, very methodical. So it becomes a little bit more of a habit. And I think when you get in a game and emotions take place and the pressure takes place, you hope as a coach that habits come back. And then it's on the kids, and then the kids got to make the plays. So that's when you call timeouts and you talk to them and you just say, hey, what are we doing right now? And they have to recognize it. And you need a mature team. And I think we have that in our seniors. I think they understand. We broke down some numbers, shooting percentages. I said the other day, even with some shot selections, if we have the right person shooting the shot one time in the Springfield and Ridge game, as opposed to maybe the third or fourth option, that could have been a difference in the game.
Yeah.
So we got a couple people shooting upper 40s and 50% as opposed to someone shooting 30, 35%. You can't change things ultimately, but you can still put it there to just think throughout the game, let's get another possession or two. Because the way we played defensively, we're going to be in games. Those 2 games went down to the wire, so we expect the next several weeks to be the same.
And you're dealing with kind of the same circumstances that all the other teams are dealing with here in Northeast Ohio this time of year. You're going to deal with flu and illness and the bug going around, all that stuff. But you're also dealing with, this is the time of year that, if you were a transfer player, you're no longer allowed to play. Does that change the way that you have to coach and that you have to practice throughout the week and throughout the second half of the season?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's funny you're asking me that now because we just lost Izzy. So she played her last game with us, against Lowville the other day. I've never had to go through that before.
Oh, this is new territory.
This is new for me. So in coaching 20-some years, I've never lost a player for a transfer. Um, so, we knew it going in, but yeah, ultimately that changes the dynamics too. And, we talked to the girls and we said, well, you could kind of look at it as now Izzy's hurt. We lost her for the year. So she was she started a few games, but she was usually our sixth man. And so now everyone bumps up in the lineup. So we have one less sub for foul trouble. So we're going to have to play a different style, a different way. So that's another thing. And she was a big body.
Yeah.
So now it's even more important for your bigs not to get in foul trouble. So guards, we have to play differently because we have to protect our back end. We get out there, we get all extended, and they're covering for us. All those bumps is another foul or two during the game. So we really looked at some situations that we put our post in on films. And, we've been drilling it now at practice, and we're talking about it. And just in 2 days, I'm pleased with where we're going. I'm excited moving into Saturday. And, again, we'll play Mogador, which is very similar to like a Lowville. And they're a physical type of team. But, again, are we playing our way? And I think with some of these teams that are around 500, if you play a certain way, you might be able to blitz them by 20 points. We're never going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
We're like the AFC North in football. It's going to be a grinded-out, defensive,
ugly game,
slugfest. Yep. But, if at the end of the day there's a little bit of snot and blood going on, it's Blue Devil basketball. And we're going to play that brand. It's what's got us a couple of district titles. And we got plenty of games now to practice going into the tournament run. Big ones, though, like next Thursday with Springfield.
Yeah. Expectations. I mean, when you're looking at expectations for a player like Izzy, you've never done this before. So for you, what kind of conversations have you had with Izzy, like your expectations of how she's going to contribute without being on the floor?
Well, you see her the next morning and in the hallways. And, I usually get around in the morning and I'm off first period. So go and check on the girls and talk to them. And I walked in her first period and I said, well, you're with the white tonight. And she says, that sucks. And yeah, it does. So what are you going to do? I'm going to make the varsity better. And, and I said, and you're going to get better in the long run too. So you have to go with that approach. So, she comes out for warm-ups and, she had a blue on. And I said, Izzy, you're white. And she's like, oh, that's all right. Habit. Yep, you're right. But today she didn't. Day two, she knew. She came out in white today. And what a difference, though. I mean, Jesus, she bodying and pushing Lisa around. Lisa, that's going to help you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to help all of us. Now our entry passes to the post need to be a little bit crisper, need to be a little bit sharper. So we're going to use it to our advantage. You got to look at it on the upside and be positive about it. And as much as she would say, well, I want to be out there and I want to be, contributing, she's preparing you at practice. And, we tell the girls all the time, you win the games at practice. You prepare on those days, and Izzy's going to be a big part of that.
That's got to be huge to have that standard of what it looks like to be on the scout team, right? And that bar just went up way higher. No pun intended, because Izzy she's the big. So when you're thinking about that, do you think that is a good situation? I mean, you never want to lose someone like an Isabel Amaro, but you also have almost like a second coach now. You know what I mean? A player's coach that can get it. And she's allowed to be on the bench and stuff. She's right or no?
Yeah, just can't dress,
play.
can't work. Yep.
Okay, so to have somebody like that can be and work and fine tune her leadership skills, and this is a very senior laden group.
Yep.
What do you think comes out of this in the long run for the Western Reserve basketball program?
Again, since it's uncharted water, I don't know.
What would you want to?
Well, what I want to is, she's playing with a couple of those girls that we need to step up next year.
Got it.
And she's going to be the senior,
yep.
the leader next year
the
moving
ice
forward.
Queen.
So she's starting to lead, like you said, right now at these few practices, and hopefully that's going to pave the way for a couple of those girls. That's going to raise their game because we're going to need them next year. Losing a couple of these seniors next year, it always looks like, oh, my God, what do we got next year? But somehow it seems like people surprise you, and like I said, I think they're going to follow Izzy at practice on a daily basis, and hopefully it raises their performance, their effort, and all that.
Lisa and Angelina, two players we're going to talk to tonight. What do they mean to your team and your program?
Well, they've been with us all the way through. I mean, all the way through the youth program, through junior high, and then through high school. And then Lisa was a big contributor. Her and Olivia were both sixth and seventh men on as freshmen on one of the district title teams. And it's weird, the roles changed. Like back then, Lisa was a guard.
Yeah.
And Olivia was a guard, even though she still is. Olivia's she's the ghost. She's the guard and the post. But Lisa, even though she played more of like a shooting type guard for us, because we had different players with Kennedy and Pater and all them back then. But Lisa's handling the ball more now.
Yeah.
So even though she's our center, press offense and doing everything, Olivia gets in foul trouble against Ridge. Lisa was playing the one. I mean, so them being versatile and flexible was really helping us. And then we play Saturday and lose, and then we got to turn around and play Monday, and we don't practice on Sunday. So we go to Lowville, and in pregame, I look at Angelina, and I said, Angelina, I know your dad's probably going to appreciate this right now, but tonight you're playing guard. And she kind of like looked at me, and I said, because against press offense, I'm bringing you up. And we're starting to change some things, and I just said, because it's practice, and I want you to get more touches, I want you handling the ball more. We'll figure out a way. We're gonna win the game tonight, but I'm moving you up on the press offense to play guard tonight. With that, then I was a little bit more disappointed that Louisville didn't keep pressing us. They came out, they started to press us. We broke it a few times. They got out because I said all those games are for Springfield.
Yep.
All those games are for Mineral Ridge. All those games are for the district semis. So you can't always get that intensity that you can during a practice. So in our games, we're using these games as getting better, preparing, and practicing. So I move people around to do things that, to prepare for the unexpected.
I love it. All right, our last question tonight. We're going to take it off the field, or off the court, rather, onto the field. I know you're an avid NFL guy like I am. This is the best weekend of the year, right? Especially when your team's in it. I apologize. But you guys get the Super Bowl this year. So what's a matchup that you're really looking forward to this weekend in the NFL?
Well, so I married a Brown season ticket holder way back when. Yeah, it was Steeler guy or what. So I married a Brown season ticket holder way back when. Now, after having, I don't know what it was, the third kid, the fourth kid, or the fifth kid, we ended up getting rid of season tickets. But, hey, I'm always going to root for the Browns. But to be honest, I mean, I have to root for when your team's out. You got to root for them teams. You got to root for them fan bases that are just dying, that aren't there all the time. Because I mean you're out. So we're America. So I'm rooting for the Lions.
I love
I'm rooting for the Lions.
I love it.
Yeah. So that's the first one. I'm a root for them. And
are you wacko for Flacco?
I hated Flacco for the Ravens, but hey, he's growing on me. And how can he? And I told my wife the same thing. I'm like, you used to hate Joe. Now it's Joe cool and you like him. But if the Browns got to win. A happy wife has a happy life.
That's true.
So yeah, I want the Browns and the Lions.
I'll never root for the Browns, but I'll root for you, man.
All
I'll
right.
root for you, Coach. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Back after this.